and welcome in or welcome back. It's a Monkey Mar. Before we get into today's video, please make sure you click the like, the subscribe, and the bell for notifications. Hey guys, welcome in. Let's get into part 2 of DeOrr Kunz, little boy missing out of Idaho from the campground where him and his family went camping that weekend. So in this part 2, I want to talk about the private investigator that was working on the case to help find little DeOrr Kunz Jr. And I found this interesting, so we are just going to touch on what his thoughts are, and then in part 3 we are going to touch on DeOrr Kunz's grandmother. And I also think in part 3 I'm going to have to dig into DeOrr Kunz's mom and dad's background just to see what they are about. And with that, guys, let's get into it. The more I look into little DeOrr Kunz's story, and after reading this article regarding Philip Klein, who was the private investigator who was trying to figure out what happened to little DeOrr, I have red flags all over the place. I honestly do not understand where these children go. But another point of me getting into this DeOrr Kunz case is the fact that this little boy has been gone for 6 years. And I pray that Xavier, the West Boys, Summer Wells, Michael Vaughn, Dulce Alaves, Vanessa Morales, I pray that these children are going to be found, and it is not going to be a wait like little DeOrr Kunz. So this is actually kind of long, so I want to read this article, and then I also want to play the video of Philip Klein speaking about DeOrr Kunz Jr. So it starts, Philip Klein, a private investigator hired by the extended family of missing toddler DeOrr Kunz Jr., announced Monday that he believes the child was intentionally or accidentally killed while on a camping trip with his parents. He also said Vernal DeOrr Kunz Sr., Jessica Mitchell, DeOrr's mother, and Robert Walton, DeOrr's grandfather, know more than they are saying about the child's disappearance. So I think in part 3 we will go ahead and look into the grandfather's background as well. Klein spoke to East Idaho News reporter Nate Eaton on Tuesday and revealed new information about his civil investigation. Below is a transcript of the conversation. EastIdahoNews.com reached out to Lemhi County Chief Deputy Steve Penner, the lead criminal investigator in the case. He declined to comment on Klein's claims and stressed his department is focused on solving the case. The Lemhi County Sheriff's Office has named Vernal DeOrr Kunz and Jessica Mitchell as suspects in DeOrr's disappearance, but they have not been criminally charged, and that's been 6 years. East Idaho News reached out to Kunz and Mitchell Tuesday afternoon for comment. Kunz said Klein's statements are ridiculous and referred us to his attorney who issued this statement. So Nate Eaton says, last night you announced you had completed the 3rd phase of your investigation in the disappearance of DeOrr Kunz Jr. Explain what that means. So Philip Klein says there were 3 phases to this investigation so far. First, we wanted to start the investigation from the ground up. We didn't want influence from law enforcement. We didn't want influence from family. We didn't want influence from anybody. All we knew was there were 4 people on a mountain and a child went missing. We went back and rebuilt this case from ground zero. We interviewed probably over 150 witnesses and followed up, I think, 300 tips. We have declared it now an accidental death, homicide, and we based it on a few things. I want to go over things very clearly because there's a lot of public conjecture at this point. I want to announce for the first time, we, law enforcement and the FBI, have interviewed DeOrr Kunz Jr, the father of DeOrr, 9 times. He's been given 9 interviews, and none of the stories he has told has matched or even been verified. That is very disturbing for us as investigators. He's given us a story, and when we go out and try to prove up simple things on the timeline, it falls apart quickly. The reporter asks, "Can you give us examples of the inconsistencies?" Private investigator says, "We can't even match simple things like filling up with gas at a diesel store in Leadore on the day of the event. He clearly says that the gentleman who was pumping the gas actually saw the child. We interviewed the guy who had supposedly seen the child, and he comes back and says, 'I don't remember seeing a child.'" And supposedly that was the black truck from the parents' interview that said he saw him at the gas station and the child was fussy. Back into the article, simple things like a dog in the back of the pickup, there was no dog. Little things that investigators look as simple things, Vernal has not been able to verify with us. As for Jessica, she has given 5 interviews to law enforcement, and none of the stories she's given us matched. In fact, she changes her story depending upon what day it is and what day we talk to her. That's very disturbing to us. We can't even verify basic information that Vernal tells us, and neither of their stories match. It's not even close, as a matter of fact. Eyewitnesses that they have listed, from guys that distribute the beer, to the clerk at the store, to the person that pumped the gas, to the basic timeline information. Vernal and Jessica tell us one story, but then the witnesses say, no, that never happened. Here's what did happen. So we take all of that and come back to them with, okay, tell us what really happened, because all these witnesses you have given us, they don't match. My question is, how come they were never brought into custody or arrested, or a child neglect charge for losing your child? Megan Boswell sits in jail for false reporting, and she's got how many counts? Back into the article. And so they tell us the story, and again, we go out and we try to re-verify with different witnesses. Then in some cases, some say, we don't even know who these people are. Who are you talking about? Very suspect. Not only that, it comes down to simple things like they played with DeOrr at the store. We talked to the witnesses before and after who didn't even see a child in the store. It honestly makes me think if the child even went to the campground with them. But then you're dealing with the grandfather and his grandfather's friend. Something is definitely not adding up, in my opinion. It brings up concerns to us and brings us to the question of, why would they lie to us? Why would they just not tell us the truth? We add that Vernal has gone in for 5 polygraph tests from different polygraph test administrators, state, local, and federal government. Vernal not only failed all 5, but he failed all 5 in the 99th percentile. That is hugely disturbing to us. He can't even pass a non-control question like, are you going to tell us the truth today? He flunks it, and not only does he flunk it, he doesn't just spike in his polygraph test. It's like a wave. That disturbs us tremendously. Then we move to Jessica. Law enforcement gives Jessica 4 different tests. Jessica failed not only to the 99th percentile, but she can't pass simple control questions. That's not because she's nervous. She's able to pass her name. She's able to pass where she is today. She's able to pass the certain questions that are no-brainer questions, but doesn't even come close to what happened to DeOrr. Or are you going to tell us the truth today? She fails so bad that in my 26 years, I've never heard of a person failing that bad. Today we are going to announce that there was a cadaver dog interaction with certain equipment at the site, and that cadaver dog did hit positive. I can't go any further than that, other than we do have a dog that did hit in the initial 2 weeks of the primary investigation. So the reporter asks, this wasn't up at the reservoir concerning the cremains. Law enforcement had previously announced cremains were dumped into the reservoir around the time of DeOrr's disappearance, but said they were unrelated to this case. Klein says, I'm not going to discuss where it was or the circumstances around it because it will be an integral part of the prosecution, and I don't want to hurt the prosecution, but a cadaver dog did hit. That has never been announced before, but we're announcing it today because we feel the public needs to know. I'm also going to announce to you today that Jessica herself has told investigators on our team she knows where the body is, but she will not go all the way and finish her story. This has been very disturbing to us. We have attempted to work with Jessica tremendously. We have offered to fly her to Texas to give her the opportunity to get away from Idaho because she's scared of some situations. I believe some of it's paranoia that has set into her at this point because she knows the walls are closing in around her. But I will announce today that Jessica has told our investigators that she knows where the body is, but she won't go all the way and say more. Off record, my gosh, then why on God's name has she not been arrested? If she is actually saying that she knows where this baby's body is. I know that she left Vernal soon after DeOrr went missing. I know she got remarried quick. So if she was afraid of DeOrr's father and she has left the scene, how come she has not yet spoken out? Shame on you, Jessica. I wonder if she has more children with her new husband. Guess we're going to have to look into that too, because I'm not sure she should even be allowed to have any more children if she is guilty of doing something to DeOrr. Let's go ahead and let the private investigator, Mr. Klein, finish this article for us.
Closing in around her, but I will announce today that Jessica herself has told our investigators that she knows where the body is, and she's not going to go all the way and say any more. That is a huge piece of evidence in this case. We are very, very concerned about it. We've asked Jessica privately, and now we're asking Jessica publicly to come in and tell law enforcement and tell us the real story of what happened. Also today, we are willing to announce today that in our interviews with the grandfather, he did admit to investigators there was an accident. He believes there was an accident. He will not go all the way and tell the complete truth of the story at this time. However, we are willing to announce, as we announced yesterday, that Isaac Renoir has given us some statements. We are currently vetting those statements and those proffers at this time. And as soon as we're done vetting those proffers, and as soon as we are done vetting what he has told us in his interviews, we may have a further announcement at that time, or at that time I think it would probably come from law enforcement.
When Jessica says she knows where the body is, has she given you any suggestions or tips as to where that could be?
She has broke down in an interview with us. I understand that she has broke down an interview with law enforcement and has let them all know that she does know, in fact, where the body is.
Could she be criminally charged now that she's said that?
I'm a civil investigator at this point. I see a lot of problems for Jessica and Vernal. First of all, lying to federal agents. They have done extensive interviews with the FBI and the task force. The story they gave them can't even be closely vetted. I can't even closely be told the truth. If it was an accident to which, we're split on our team, we're definitely not split on there was a death. We're split on our team whether or not it was an intentional homicide or whether or not it was an accident. I'm tending to lean towards it was an accident, but there would be some laws regarding what they did with the body, not reporting an accident, those sort of things. We're publicly asking Vernal, and we're publicly asking Jessica, and we're publicly asking Jessica's grandfather, Bob, to just, let's bring this to an end. That's enough. I mean, enough of lying, enough of trying to mislead investigators, enough of getting on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all these things and trying to mislead the public. I am just very frustrated with Vernal. I'm very frustrated with Jessica, I'm very frustrated with their inability to tell the truth. I'm frustrated with them trying to mislead investigators, not only on our side, but FBI, who you don't mess with. I mean, I'm just warning you right now. When an FBI agent asks you a question, you be honest. If you don't know, say, I don't know. And they're giving the FBI some rabbit trails, and then, of course, to the fine people in Bonneville County and Lehigh County, and how they are stuck in the middle of this, trying to just get them to tell the truth.
So when investigators confront them about these inconsistencies, do they double down or does their story change again?
Well, the story changes. I mean, they don't ever double down. They just, oh, well, I forgot that part. Yeah, well, maybe he didn't see it. Well, then why'd you tell me in the first place? Well, because, well, I don't know. It goes off into a world that, you can't be dumb all the time. I mean, this is you can't act like you're dumb all the time. You know what happened. You were there. You were with the child. I mean, even things in the timeline such as where was the blanket? Where was the sippy cup? Where was it? Nobody can tell the truth. And quite frankly, their stories all break down at 8 o'clock in the morning. The only time their stories are true and correct and we can verify is that when the night before and that evening, and then after the 911 call, everything can be verified. However, between 8 o'clock in the morning and 1:26 in the afternoon, 2:26 in the afternoon, I'm sorry, when the 911 call was made, we can't verify anything. I mean, nothing, zero. I mean, donut hole.
Philip, where does the case go from here?
We're going to phase 4. Phase 4 of this case is the actual ground hunt. We know an area that we will be coming into. I understand you guys are having an early thaw this year, which is great. We will probably be up there with different teams within the next 30 days. We do have those places that we're going to hunt under surveillance. We're watching those areas to make sure nobody comes in or nobody comes out of those areas. And if they do, who are they and what did they take out of that area?
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
The people of Idaho Falls and Lehigh County should be absolutely ecstatic with their law enforcement, from the FBI to the sheriff's departments, the investigators that we've been sometimes up till late in the morning working on this case with. These guys are dedicated people. On behalf of my 9 investigators on my team, from Georgia to Florida to Texas to Idaho, I just like to say thank you to the people of Idaho. I mostly hope that Vernal and Jessica and their families take a step back. They have been very protective over them. They are in denial. The other thing I want to say is that you must understand that Vernal's family and Jessica's family, they are innocent in this. They are just doing what family members do. They're trying to circle around their loved ones. They're in denial at this point, is my belief. They are in denial, and they need to come out of denial. This is a very, very, very serious situation.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Klein, for joining us.
So we are going to go ahead and wrap up this video. This was a visual that was out for DeOrr in 2019. I will go ahead and play this video actually in part 3. I found it interesting. A lot of things do not sit well with me in this situation. I know that Isaac Renwan, one of the men that were out on the camping trip with them, did not go to the vigil, but I do have an interview of him that I do want to touch on. And also in part 3, I want to go over the reason why the private investigator Klein left this case. And I think that is it with this video. But there are definitely a lot of red flags, and a lot of red flags that I did not even know existed in DeOrr's missing story, but something is just not adding up. Alright guys, drop them comments, drop them opinions, and with that, it is a wrap. I want to thank you all for coming in. Thank you for watching. Please like or dislike, whichever you prefer, and subscribe. Everyone have a good day or a good night wherever you are in the world, and stay vigilant. I am out.